Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're capable of more, but something keeps on holding you back? That's where Phil comes in. Phil is a professional master coach and a master practitioner in NLP, timeline therapy and hypnotherapy with years of real-world experience building and growing businesses. His passion is simple: helping you reimagine your life or your business, break through limitations and build unstoppable momentum for good. Whether you want a powerful one-off session or ongoing support where Phil walks you through every step of the way, everything is tailored to you and your goals. If you're ready for real, lasting change, Phil might be exactly who you've been looking for. To find out more on what Phil does, just visit philhanlon.com for more information. George & Co. create crafted spaces that stand the test of time. Royal Society of Architects Wales award winners and Wales Home of the Year regional winners. Featured on TV and in leading magazines, they are based in Merthyr and Swansea, designing exceptional homes across Wales. They proudly sponsor today's episode.
Don't go to Temple Bar.
The Irishman says, don't go to Temple Bar.
Yeah.
We're back in Grounded Coffee and Wellness.
Yeah.
Thank you again to Matt and the guys at Tidy Bit for hosting us. Always made to feel welcome.
Absolutely.
It's always great to be you in the thriving hub that is Sebastopol. And very, very glad and privileged to be joined by our guest at this time, Mr. Mark O'Brien.
How are you?
How are you?
Yeah, grand, not a bother.
So it was one of those things that I have a habit of seeing people online and thinking they'd be fucking good on the podcast. And that kind of happened. And I'll be fair, I really, really appreciate you giving your time. And I know it's a very exciting time for you as a county or an exile, depends on what you want to call yourself, but as a Newport County alumni, obviously Newport County doing amazing things at the moment.
Yeah, like in all fairness, I think how the season finished for Newport, it's one of those kind of bittersweets. You don't want to be battling relegation, but I think how they ended up staying up, and look, it happened to me in 2017, staying up on the last day of a season. So how it's really happened with them again, it's almost like you don't want to, but if you could bottle that feeling of the togetherness that comes from Newport, like, as I said, I'd take it 10 times out of 10, but to be on this side of it as I'd say fan on the outside of it, I genuinely would never want to go through it again, because it's like you're watching the league tables as the game's going on and you're like, oh, we're relegated and it's 60 minutes in, and now before you know it, they concede, we score, and you're back being safe again, and it's like that roller coaster, but it's why everyone loves football.
And it's easy, isn't it, to say, oh, you should always just pay attention to your game. Yeah. Don't worry about the games around you. But when you're in that position, it's very hard to not take notice of if a goal had been scored elsewhere, if someone's 1-0 down, because it can directly impact your future as a club. Like I'm a staunch Merthyr Town supporter. I'm a Liverpool supporter as well. But I'm a Merthyr Town, and like we've had those moments, like I said, where we had the last game of the season this year was against Fylde. Yeah. If Fylde beat us, then Fylde won the league. If Merthyr beat Fylde, Merthyr at least made the playoffs. Yeah. And but then there was, but if this team does this, and so you've got half the fans watching and the other half checking Twitter every 5 minutes. But I suppose first off the bat, and obviously we'll get into how the play-in side of things came to a kind of an untimely end, to say the least. But how does a young Irishman find his way to play for Newport County? How does that happen?
Well, in all fairness, I moved away from Dublin when I was 15. So like I moved away, I got scouted from Derby County when I was only 15 and went over on a trial there then. one thing leads to another. I loved the place. They enjoyed me being there, and I think I was in the right place at the right time.
Okay.
Nigel Clough came in as a manager, and when he came in as a manager, he liked the type of player I was. Like, I was the kind of rough and ready, put my head in at someone's foot and wouldn't think twice about it, and just enjoyed defending. And luckily enough for me, I got to make my debut for Derby when I was 16. So in that same season, I got to obviously play for Derby's first team, which then kind of put me in the spotlight of everybody's eyes, all on this 16-year-old. And again, like, the time at Derby was amazing, but the difficulty, obviously, when I just turned 16 and going back into pre-season, I had to go for the routine heart scans. And then that routine heart scan led me into finding I had a leak in my aortic valve. And then that leak in my aortic valve turned into doctors telling me at the beginning it was probably going to take 60, 70 years until I need to get something fixed for it. So football was always going to be, I'll do that and then I'll worry about it afterwards. So, like, once I was still playing, like, I never cared about a single thing. Me growing up playing football was like the best thing ever. And then I went for another scan and they told me, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst and 1 being nothing, they said it was like a 7 or an 8 now. So then with that, more follow-up scans happened and all that information goes to another specialist. And then that next specialist then says, look, we're going to have to forward this on to a surgeon to see his professional opinion. And with his professional opinion, I remember I sat in a room just like this with my mum, my dad, the Derby physio, and we were all just sitting there waiting on the surgeon to walk in. And he walked in with his diary in his hand and he put it down on his desk and he just picked up a model heart and he said, Mark, your heart is 3 times the size of what it should be for a 16-year-old. And if you don't have the operation this year, you're dead. And then that for me was something where it didn't seem like a surreal moment. Like, I didn't think like it was happening to me. And the more that I kind of sat there, my first question to him, funnily enough, was like, can I still play football? And I didn't really take it on board. And he told me I'd be lucky enough to play down the park with my friends. And then that to me probably is what killed me more, because after making me debut and I got to live me dream for that one appearance, I knew that's all that I wanted. And now I'm getting told that I might never be able to do that again, or I shouldn't be able to do that again. Because to get back to a professional standard, I got told it would be that level. And to get there after open heart surgery, you probably just won't make it. And that to me broke me. But he said that there's an operation that can happen, which is to give me a prosthetic valve. I could have a metallic valve, which meant I'd be on blood thinners, which mean I couldn't play football ever again. Or I could have a prosthetic valve, which was a pigskin valve.
Right.
So if I get given that pigskin valve, he said, look, it's not a guarantee. He said it will take probably a year to a maximum of 5 years that you'll probably get out of it. But in between all of those years, it could fail at any point if it doesn't take to your own body. And without even like any hesitation, like I said, like a catalogue on, I'll have that one. Because it was the only thing that kind of had in my mind to say that there's a slight chance. And I ended up going in for the operation, and in that same season I went in for the operation in October, and then by March, April time I got myself back playing for the under-18s, and then by the end of that season I made Derby's bench for the first team. So even in a season full of absolute hardly any football, it was probably the most pivotal season of everything that I went through my whole career, because I always based that back to, well, do you know what? If I can get back from this, nothing else is going to stop me. And if I can get back from the next thing, nothing else will stop me. And obviously I was surrounded by my family who were positive all the time. The coaches, Derby offered me another 3.5-year deal on the back of that to give me time to get back again. And all my friends and everybody. So like, there was never a moment in my mind that I sat there and thought, this isn't going to happen for me ever again. Just as much as the doctor said it probably won't. I had everybody saying, but when you're back, and when you're training and when you're back, we'll do this. And look, with all this training, when you're back on that pitch, you'll be so happy. And when you have that, you don't realise that that's just like the little gems that you need, just top it up with. Just that little bit, because I didn't have anyone else other than the people around me to kind of say everything's going to be okay. And once you kind of get told that, and you're only 16, you kind of believe it.
Yeah, because I was going to, obviously you mentioned about, having that, that consistent level of support and, that hope being kind of drilled into you to help to push you through the period. Was there ever, from any family, any friends, any sort of, are you sure you want to risk potentially your life in order to play football? Was there ever those conversations, or was there ever that concern from family members of, listen, we know how much you want to play, but if it could be the difference between you being here in however many years or not, do you really want to take the risk, or wasn't that a consideration?
Do you know what? It actually wasn't. And when family spoke to me, they went off what I wanted, because my mum and dad just supported them. And now I'm sure they probably had conversations, but I just going, you better tell him not to do that. And the next one is saying, you better tell him not to. But when I was so adamant on, no, I want to play football and this is what I want. But the one promise that I made to myself at 16 was, I'm having one operation for football and I was having one operation for the rest of my life. There was never going to be an in-between of I'm going to go through this 6-7 times. There was always going to be, if it gave me a year of football and it finished, well, then it's a year of football. If it gave me 5 years, and I was lucky enough that it gave me 11, like to get back to any level.
Which is incredible.
Which is something that, like, I remember I went back to the hospital and it must have been 8 or 9 years after the operation. And the doctor sitting there and going, yeah, Mark, everything's okay. We must have given you a good one. And I laughed along with it, but in my head thinking, am I like on the cusp here of something not being quite right?
Is it going to give in?
Like, is this going to give in anytime soon? But that was the kind of way that it was. And I still look at it and go, like, football saved me life. If I want to look at it in the most best way possible, if I never played professionally, you don't get routine scans back in Ireland. I wouldn't have had a reason to, because I hadn't got a single symptom of lightheadedness, dizziness, breathlessness, and all the things that come with heart defects. So having that routine scan for football, it was kind of like, that saved me life, because it was going undetected until the doctor said it literally would have been waking up one morning, you might feel that little bit more tired, and he said you would have just went. And he said that's as quick as your heart would have just stopped, and without people knowing what it was, he said that would have been the cause of it. He said it's just because you're fit. He said your heart is putting up with the strain of everything that's going on inside you. And as you say, because I had football, I never had time to think about the whole everything that was going on.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask is, obviously, you get faced with this gigantic kind of life moment. Yes, you've got football, and you've obviously impressed with a standard where you're being scouted for pro clubs and you're being asked to move. I was going to say across the ocean, but it's literally there. There you see. But you're uprooting and you're moving and you're pursuing this dream that so many youngsters, from the time that they're like that high and they in like toddler, like little kickers sessions, dream of, I'm going to play for, my pro club of choice or whatever. But no matter how busy it was there ever that moment where you were like scared of, like, I'm 16 and I'm being basically told that and all right, I know we're all on a timer in our own ways, not to be morbid, but we're all on a timer. But to be told that at 16 of, listen, you could literally, you may go to bed one night and not wake up. Was that like ever something that like frightened you?
Do you know what? At 16, no. Like, again, your naivety takes you through it. Like, because all you do is listen to the adults around you. Yeah. So all the adults around me are telling me everything's going to be okay. So I didn't sit there for too long to kind of go, well, my whole thing was, what if I don't play again? That was my whole thing. Like, mine wasn't the life or death situation that it was. Mine was, so like, if this doesn't work, I don't play football again. Like, I just seen it as an operation. Like, if somebody's going in getting their knee, hamstrings, anything, I didn't see the significance of it being open heart surgery. Yeah. And that was something that went in my favour, that I think later down the line, obviously, to why I retired, all those thoughts came straight flooding through without even having to wanting them there. They all came flooding through. And that was the difference of, I always say, being 16 really went in my favour, because you're not old enough to understand the facts of saying it's life or death, or what happens if I go to sleep tonight and I don't wake up. Now I remember having to sign, along with my parents, the consent forms, and on it is this could happen, that could happen, and death. And I have to sign that at 16, but you're signing it and kind of going, right, let's get the operation done. Now, you're not signing it, reading the final print and the small print. So
you're just doing it because in your head, obviously, the sooner you sign, the sooner they can do the operation, the sooner I can play football.
Yeah.
So let's go.
Exactly. It's the whole excitement side of it. It's the kind of like, let's get it over and done with. Like, and I was scared going in for an operation. Like, it would have been my first ever operation. So I was scared going in for it. But I never had a thought of going, I might not wake up.
Yeah.
Now, that could have been happening, as you look at it now and say it could have been happening subconsciously, and I just had the pure distraction of football to take my mind away, which I'm grateful for. But then, again, like I say, the implications of the second time when it happened, I didn't have that distraction anymore. I didn't have all of this, like, I need to get back for football or I want to get fit and all that. All I just had was, right, this is it now. Like, I don't have anything anymore. And that's when all those types of struggles start coming in. So again, being 16 was something that was a massive power of mine, and just like I say, having the positive support around me to kind of go when you were back on that pitch. And I remember getting given a card, like a get well soon card, and everybody writing when you were trotting on that pitch again, and all like the big jokes and everything. Like, they're the things that were getting me through to kind of go. I had one moment after the operation was 3 of me Irish teammates came up to visit me in hospital, and this was just before their Halloween break, because they were in the academy as well with me. And it was when they left, I remember I just burst into tears with my mum, and I was sitting in the room and my mum was like, just let it out. And I remember I just broke down and I kept saying, why do I have to be the one laying here? Why do I have to be the one that's just laying here and they get to go home and play football? It always happens to me. Like, I'm blah blah, I'm so unlucky. And you just unleashed everything. But within the next day, it's like you're back up and I'm walking from this door to that door, and walking to the 2 doors, I have to sit down again. And then you're walking outside the door, and everything is just small step. And like I said, I was very lucky at the age that I was for it all to happen, because those thoughts was something that I know the implications of them later down the line.
But when you've got you've got the pressure anyway, and we're all, let's be honest, we all know that there's immense pressures when you've got a pro club and when you're a young player, and that you've got to fight for your spot, and that if you can't play that, you can't guarantee that spot, and it takes a long time to do this, and it doesn't take any time at all to drop out and be down in some pub league like that. It can happen to the best players. What type of, I suppose, mental toll did it take for you to go from being kind of that hard-hitting physical player to being like, I'm out of breath walking across a room?
Do you know what? It took a lot out of me. Like, I was never the fittest in pre-season. Like, I hated running around. Like,
I know
like,
loads of boys that
like,
pre-season.
hate pre-season and stuff like that. But I think at a certain point, I had to just start focusing. It was more just on me getting back on the field. And I remember like speaking to people over there, and I said I never cared about what jersey I was getting back for, whether it was the first team, reserve team, under 18s, or just a friendly game. At your feet. I just wanted to play. And if I had a shirt back on, I could have, like, it was like a relief to kind of say, this is me, I'm back now, and now I can kind of kick on and try and focus back on football. So there was only one ever time that I dealt with it, was when I got back onto the pitch and I'm doing laps of a pitch with the fitness coach, and it's just really slow, and you're doing it next to lads who are training full pelt, who are throwing in tackles, and they're all your teammates. Like, I remember looking over going, I won't be that fit ever again, because like me jogging, then you'd have to walk again, and then I'd jog for a minute and I'm walking again. And I just thought, this isn't happening. And the turning point of that was, I went back to the hospital, I think it was 6 months after the operation. And when I went back to the hospital after doing the jogging and different things, I thought I would have been miles off it. And their fitness test for me was, right, Mark, walk on a treadmill. And I'd walk. And they'd put it up a little bit more and a little bit more. And I'm still doing fast-paced walking. So then they start turning it into a jog. And then when they finished it, he goes, Mark, this is amazing. Like, you are doing so well. People who have had this operation wouldn't even be at this level just yet. Like, your streets ahead about where you should be. And then that boosted me to kind of go, yeah, so it is just like, I have to focus on myself here, because if I keep looking at the lads who are fit and didn't go through this, I'm going to put myself down. If I look at what I'm doing compared to other people who have been in my situation, I'm doing amazing. So once that kind of came about is when I started to kind of go, yeah, look, I'll take it bit by bit. And as you say, whether it was a reward for the season it's been, but to get back playing for Derby's under 18s and then to make it to the first team bench at the last game of that season, it was more out of the fact of probably just giving me that little, he's back, fair play for this year. And if that's what it was, like, Nigel Clough, again, a manager who really believed in me, kind of gave me another little boost to kind of say, now you're back. Now, well done for doing what you're doing. Now, next year, kick on. Almost to kind of keep giving you that little bit of a push to say you've done really well. So, like I said, at that particular time in my life, I was just surrounded by the right people. And sometimes, like I say, that matters more than it is just me having to deal with it on my own.
Yeah. The trouble is with heart conditions, correct me if I'm wrong, but heart conditions, you can never... You don't know you've got them. You know, you can't go and get a health... Well, you can get a health checkup, I suppose, but why would you if you don't know what's wrong? If you
Unless you've got symptoms. Like.
Yeah. But then...
Yeah. It could be kind of eating away you do inside. And like you said, you'd be completely unknown
to you. But some heart tests, you can't go and really have you tested until something happens anyway.
So to put it in perspective, and I'll obviously leave you explain, but Jordan's wife had an incident, an episode. Whatever you want to call it.
She suffered a cardiac arrest in the house.
In bed
at night. And unbeknown to us why that happened. And then she had to have something then called an adrenaline test, where they... Do you know, like when they put like a dye into your body and then you can X-ray? Well, they
like a CT scan.
Yeah, sort of thing like that. But what she had to do is they had to inject this drug into her that would make her heart go into a cardiac arrest again.
In order to find out what the issue.
So
which is crazy.
If you don't have the issue, they inject that into you. They do an ECG and nothing will happen. But if you inject you and then you've got that. It's called Brugada syndrome.
You basically have a cardiac arrest.
You'll see the ECG turning, and then they literally got to put paddles on you,
just in case.
And it's just like you can't go and have you checked for that because you don't.
Because you could have a cardiac arrest because of it. Yeah.
So it's like, oh, can I have an adrenaline? You can't just go and ask for it just in case you think you need it. And that's I don't find it bonkers then.
Well, you'd just been out, didn't you? You'd been watching the rugby.
And
you'd had one or two drinks, but nothing major. You'd gone, you'd walked the dog round the block, and went to bed, and
bang.
You just thought, she doesn't sound right in bed.
Yeah.
And the next minute, then you're doing CPR.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
But there's, but again, you talk about that what if.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about it many times.
Yeah.
There's the other side of it where you don't wake. And you wake in the morning, so, oh my God, what the hell have I just happened?
Yeah.
So it's
and that's the thing. It's like with you, if you didn't play football,
that's the thing. Like I always think stuff like that is baffling to me because it's like my ma then looks at everything that I used to do in school, and I remember I did a sports day and I did like just running and I did all the races and everything like that. And she said I came home, my lips were blue one day because I ran so much.
Wow.
So she said I must have been exhausted. But then, obviously, finding that out at 16, she goes, was that a sign of it then?
Yeah.
Like, and then everything makes you think. But I've been asked by a lot of people about, like, routine scans, and it's something where it's like, you're sometimes better off knowing than not knowing.
Yeah.
But it's like the simple ones, like an echo, an ECG, and whatever, and people can go to functioning of it. Now, look, I had an ECG when I was 14 to go away for my Republic of Ireland team at the age of 15. And nothing came up on it. Yeah. So that even in itself is kind of a little bit flawed, like, because there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like you say, you don't want it to happen.
No.
But at the same aspect, it's tough.
But then it's it's down to like timing and also
exactly.
like you have things like a TIA, for example, you have like a mini stroke. But if you don't get into hospital in time, there's very, depending on the severity of the TIA, there's normally very little evidence that anything's happened.
Yeah.
So you've just had a funny turn.
Yeah.
If you've turned up 15 minutes before, you can see a small bit of darkening, and you think, well, actually, there is something there.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
It is, because it's like if you put like a normal ECG on my wife, it's normal.
Yeah.
It is normal.
Yeah,
It's
she'd
like,
be great.
Fit and
But
healthy.
then, like I
Lovely.
said, if you put that drug in her,
both gone.
she's on the floor.
Yeah.
But and obviously you spoke really openly, and obviously Leah was on as well as a guest. I feel like Dr. Phil in that episode because I was doing a married couple. But I think it's fair to say it's altered how you view things, because you were on pins more than you're not.
Yeah, constantly.
But like I said, was it ever, because you mentioned about your mum kind of starting to look back and think, what about that? Was there ever any kind of misplaced, as the way would be, was there any sort of like misplaced guilt of we should have seen that, or we should have seen it, or was it because it was so out of the blue?
Do you know what? Because it was so out of the blue, there wasn't anything to even like look back on, because I was a fit and healthy kid playing Sunday League football back in Ireland. Like, there was never anything to say, oh, I feel a bit tired today. Like, I was always energy. I was always like kicking a ball. I was always out with my mates. And that in itself was something where, because this was so just a routine scan, like I was expecting to go in, get the echo, get the ECG and walk back out, and then that's me done. Like half of the squad did. But the difference of it all is that the doctor said it was so minor. He said it's just something to keep an eye on. But realistically, people can live with this through their lives until they get to later on in life, and it starts giving them like issues, and it starts giving them tiredness and fatigue. So so being in the job that I was in, and obviously when you're in the middle of pre-season, you're wearing heart rate monitors. The only way they kind of put two and two together was my heart rate for one of the training sessions that we were doing, one of the running sessions. My max heart rate was like 227, and the average was 203. Now they looked at that and said, oh, you must be working really hard. Just like now everybody else is like 190, 180 and whatever. Yeah. But because I had the heart scan, they kind of goes, could that be that?
Yeah.
Now if they never had the heart scan, they probably say it's just probably working hard.
Yeah.
And they don't think twice of it. Now they'll look at it and obviously be concerned, but they wouldn't really go, they'll put two and two together. So that's what led me to then have an MRI scan to see what my heart is like when it's functioning. So like everything kind of all was in place at the times. Like heart rate monitors were only really coming into football in and around that time. So they weren't something that's around now with the GPS vests and everything that's in now.
Yeah.
So, like I say, it was just right place, right time, and a bit of luck that goes in your way, where sometimes you look at it differently to say, all right, is there someone looking down on you that's putting you in all these right positions and places?
It's mad. He must be working really hard. Well, there's working really hard, and then there's like, you need to ring Messi and say, listen.
And in all fairness, I wouldn't have minded if I was at the front of all the running. I was at the back of everything.
Well, you're thinking, well.
Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're capable of more, but something keeps on holding you back? That's where Phil comes in. Phil is a professional master coach and a master practitioner in NLP, timeline therapy and hypnotherapy, with years of real-world experience building and growing businesses. His passion is simple: helping you reimagine your life or your business, break through limitations and build unstoppable momentum for good. Whether you want a powerful one-off session or ongoing support where Phil walks you through every step of the way, everything is tailored to you and your goals. If you're ready for real, lasting change, Phil might be exactly who you've been looking for. To find out more of what Phil does, just visit philhanlon.com for more information.
How did, the boys, how did the lads kind of react to this then? Your teammates, how did they, because obviously, I've never... I don't know what I ever give it away, but I've never played a sport. But I've grown up around football clubs, and I've got really, really good mates who are footballers, and I have an understanding of just how tight knit those changing rooms can be. And it's kind of, if one of you's not right, you're all not right in a kind of weird way. How did the boys react to you having this kind of life-altering news?
Everyone was brilliant with me. Like, Derby as a club were brilliant with me. They sent me home before the build-up of the operation. So what I got told was 20 years. When the surgeon said I can do it in the next 2 weeks, Derby sent me home for those 2 weeks to be around my family. And then it was the same when I came out of the operation. Once I got back into the club, like, everybody were amazing. Now that's from the first team all the way down to the under 18s who I was with, the coaching staffs. Everybody were just amazing with me because, again, after making my debut, it was kind of like, oh, who's this 16-year-old? Who's this kid about to kick on? Who's this kid that we've just signed who's just made his debut and done well on his debut? Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's just had open heart surgery. And I was kind of like known by everybody in the club then, as much as it could have been just made his debut and now he drifts away. It's kind of like, now everybody knows him for now he's the open heart surgery, not just the kid that made his debut at 16. It's the one who had the surgery. So it was brilliant. Like, everybody did welcome me back, and the minute you get back into training and you're wearing a heart rate monitor, like, I've always said football was like an alter ego for me. So, like, once I was back on the pitch, heart monitor, heart surgery, I didn't care if there was a ball there to be blocked, I'm blocking it. And I think that's the one thing my dad was scared about, to think, is he going to be the same player? Is he going to be too tentative? Is he going to be scared? But once I was there, it was kind of like you just switch back into game mode, and it's almost like I'm focused again. And then you come off the pitch and, like, you check your watch with the heart rate on it and all these different things, and everything was just running smoothly. And that's the whole thing, is that it was kind of then not spoken about afterwards. It was kind of like you just move on with it. And look, I much preferred it that way, to kind of be moved on from it. It's like, kind of, this was a part that happened. It is what it is. And not a single person kind of ever brought it up again. Now, people would come over and go, oh, give us a look at your scar. And people would see the scar and I'd go, yeah, no worries. Like, see the scar as many times as you like. But there was a time that it kind of sat with me where Steve McLaren got the manager's job at Derby when Nigel Clough left. And he was coming around the changing rooms, and I remember I was in the shower and stuff like that, and he walked in, he was just like, oh, new manager, nice to meet you and stuff. And he seen the scar on my chest. He goes, what's that from? I said, oh, I had open heart surgery when I was 16, but everything's fine now. All right, good. And then he walked out, and I spoke with the physio who was with him at the time, and he said, you done well there. He said, because you don't want to tell him that this is something that could affect you. That it's a yearly thing. Because he said, that's how managers will view it now. Like, now that you're back playing,
you're like damaged goods.
You're going to be either like, oh, you had open heart surgery, we don't need him. And I never seen it that way. I seen it as I'm the heroic one who came back playing, and I'm the one.
I've got a comeback story of the decade.
And
like,
you start realising the politics of football then. To me,
it can be brutal. It's brutal.
Honestly, I've been on both sides of the politics of football, on the great side and on the not so great side. And once I kind of heard that, I was kind of like, right, keep your mouth shut about it. And that's what made me kind of go, if people are willing to ask me, my only answer used to be, yeah, I had it when I was 16, but I'm all right now. Because I only ever then wanted to be judged on, am I good enough to play for your team? Yes or no. Not, don't sign me because of my heart. Don't sign me because I've had open heart surgery that I can't do anything about, that I have no control over. Like, just sign me on, if you think I'm good enough, I'll play. If you don't think I'm good enough, well then, unfortunately, that's just the way of football is. But it was at that time that it kind of clicked with me to kind of go, don't say too much on it. As proud of it as I was to kind of say I'm back playing, I was kind of like, let's not mention it too much. But again, no matter where you sign, it was like always, came back from open heart surgery at 16 and now he's playing in this cup game and he's doing this, and it's like, you could never get away from it. So I had to own the story as much as, but everything's okay now. That's the way I always had to end in the story. And that's the way that I learned it until, as I say, when I turned 27.
But you didn't really want people to kind of like put in a negative spin on it. Not a negative spin, but like, if you've done something wrong, for instance, he's just gone through heart surgery. Taking pity on you. When you know you shouldn't have that pity, but because you're talking about it all the time. No, sorry, not that everybody else is talking about it all the time. They're gonna kind of go down the the pity route, and that's not good for you.
No, I've always said I never wanted to be a pity story. Like, I always wanted to be a story that can be something that, like, this is me life, and as you say, can help people. But as far as pity came, like, I didn't want people in football to pity me and say, let's give him an easy time because he's had open heart surgery. I want to be treated the same.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, because you could argue, couldn't you, that, you know, a pity approach would be, oh, you know, he's been for a lot. We'll give him some minutes now for the first team, just, you know, just so he lives his dream. But that wouldn't have sat well with you because you would have known deep down.
Oh, no, 100%.
You know,
like I said, I can look back at the 16 and making the first team bench last game of the season. Like, I know I wasn't that far. Like, I done well to get back, but to make the bench was kind of like, oh, like, in the moment I was thinking, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, I go, well, he was just boosting my confidence a bit. Now, you don't want to be someone who's going to be boosted of confidence, but pre-season comes the following year and I'm at the back of all the running and it's back to normal procedure.
Yeah.
But again, I had to work my way back into the team. I had to play really well. And again, because Nigel Clough, as the manager that he was, if I didn't play well for me under 18s, I wasn't playing for your first team. And so you had to kind of earn it all over again. As much as I made me debut, earn it all over again, work really hard and show what you're capable of. And that was something that fed into me a lot because I was like, right, I'm ready to show you that I want to play well. I just love football. And that side of stuff, as I said, came naturally to me to be the competitive edge once I was out playing. But anything off field, you kind of just took it and you just kind of always finished the story with, oh no, I'm all right. Like, everything's fine now. Yeah. But even if there was little things that come into your head going, oh, chest is a bit tight and whatever, like, you don't really look at it. I used to just always go, yeah, but I'm all right.
Yeah, because it's, you know, if nothing else, is a conversation starter, isn't it?
You know, not wrong.
you know, like, you meet people in public, or you know, you're out on a date or whatever it may be, and so, tell me something interesting about yourself. Well, funny enough, you know, but obviously things were all right, things were going well until they weren't. So you hit 27, and the world implodes slightly, to say the least. What happened there?
Yeah, so it was during COVID when everything went into lockdown. Obviously, the football season just finished and it was cut halfway through the season. So we got told just to stay fit and keep yourself ticking over for. We didn't know when the season was going to start.
Play behind closed doors.
We thought it was going to be 3-4 weeks. The season was ending and then we'd play into the summer because nobody knew COVID.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then all of a sudden, so we're all going out cycling and we're doing all the little bits here and there. Everybody bought a bike, so we were all cycling at the time.
The amount of people that discovered the Taft Trail in where I was working
in Halfords at the time. It was unbelievable. Building honestly 70 bikes a day. Anyway,
and once I started like all of that, and we're going out with all the other lads that were staying locally. But I remember there was one evening I got back from a big cycle that I'd done with one of the lads, Matty Dolan. And I remember I was sitting like on the sofa. I was having a coffee. And out of nowhere, I just got this sudden thump in my chest. Now, I didn't know what it was like, but it kind of took me breath. And then I can feel like my neck pulse and like the veins in my neck. And I could feel my heart thumping and my palms were getting like proper sweaty. And I just felt so on edge. Yeah. And I was just thinking, oh my God, what's just happened? So I kind of, when it catches your breath, you're coughing to try and get it out, and you're kind of coughing to go, just stop. And then I went to bed that evening, and I'm laying on my left-hand side, and it kept catching me breath again, and I kept coughing, so I couldn't lay on my left-hand side. For whatever reason in my chest, I couldn't lay on my left-hand side. So the next morning, like, I'm back out on the bike again. Like, you don't really think anything of it, but my heart is, like, racing while I'm on the bike, and I'm only going on the same cycles I've been on before. Yeah. But I was feeling like just drained. Day after day, I was just getting more drained. And I remember I found our club doctor. And as I spoke to him, I said, look, if something isn't right, I said, something's catching me breath. I said, I can't lay on my left-hand side. I said, something's not right. And he said, well, look, the hospitals are busy at this moment to try and get yourself in for a scan. He said, but you only had your scan 4 or 5 months ago, and that was all clear. So he said, everything should be all right. You normally don't get a change around or anything to happen in such a short span. He said everything should be all right. Yeah. So I said, right. So he said it was something that he thought could be an ectopic beat, which is basically, he said if your heart goes out of rhythm, he said you'll get like a double beat just randomly. And he said you kind of cough and it gets it back into rhythm again and then you go again. So I was like, oh, that's fine. Like how he explained it to me kind of made sense for what I was feeling. Yeah. And then the same thing was happening. Something caught me breath and I was starting to feel all the same things again. And I found him and I was like, look, I need a scan. I said, something isn't right. And I said, if the season starts back next week, the manager's going to think I've not been training, because I said, I'm getting more and more exhausted constantly. And he goes, right, I'll try and get you into, I think it was St. Joseph's in Cardiff.
Yeah.
So I went down and my ex-partner brought me down. And I remember I was sitting in the waiting room. All like the hospital like was empty. And I got brought in. And once I got brought in, like, you're kind of sitting there, and one part of me head is saying, I hope you don't find anything. And the next part is like, I hope you find something to tell me what is wrong, because something isn't right. So then I had the scan and I sat down in his office afterwards, and he said, Mark, look, he said, your valve is leaking, and he said, it's leaking very badly. He said, where it is right now, he said, something's going to need to be done. And when he said that, like, my head dropped. And I remember I just started to burst into tears. Like, I literally felt as though like I was going cold all over. Like, I just started to cry. And I said it to him. I was like, that's it. And he was like, no. He said, there's procedures we can do to try and get you back playing. People have had it before. And I said, you don't understand. When I was 16, I said, I always said it to myself that I said, I'm having one for football and one for the rest of my life. I said, I'm not going through this all these times. I said, and now that it's coming to an end, I said, that's me done. He said, well, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but he said it is leaking very, very badly. He said, so we're going to have to like push this forward. So I remember I went back out to my ex-partner, burst into tears again, and straight away I was on the phone to my mum. And she was like, what's wrong? I was like, valve is leaking again. Leave it with me, I'll see you tomorrow. So my ma flew straight over, and like obviously going through airports and everything, it was difficult to get flights. She flew straight over the next day, and that would have been probably March time, when the season was like come to an end. And my mum was with me from March, and then April going back to the hospitals getting more scans. And I remember there was one evening with my mum at that point, and this is like, I had to go for a CT scan that morning and put the dye in, and they check to see where it all, like what's going on. And you get like a certain metallic taste in your mouth when this dye goes in. But I remember later that evening I was sitting at home, and my mum was like sitting next to me, and we were watching telly, and I remember I had to open up like my side doors like to let some air in. My mum was like, is everything okay? And I was like, I can't breathe. And I could feel my eyes just going blurry. I could feel my palms just sweating. I could feel everything starting to shake from head to toe, like that kind of fight or flight type, like adrenaline rush. And I just said, I can't breathe. And I could just feel my chest thumping. And I just couldn't shake it. So my mum then grabs my hands and she says, like, just put your head down and just keep breathing. And then I put my head down, and my ma's holding my hands, and she put her head down. And like, it's the first time, like, speaking and saying it is like, it was the first time my ma's praying to make sure I'm still alive. And it's the first time that I seen it, and it's like, I'm sitting there thinking, well, if my ma's this concerned, like you say, grow up at 16, everyone's positive. This time, like, my ma's praying that everything's okay. And I'm thinking, I could be gone here. Like, it was the first time that I thought I could be dead. So found an ambulance and found out that I had a panic attack. Now, I never knew what a panic attack was. Never had a clue about, but I could only relate it to the symptom that I had from when the heart started thumping like weeks previous. So that in itself was kind of just like, it can't just be a panic attack. It can't be. And I would fall out with people in the hospital because I was like, that's not real. Like, there has to be a physical symptom. Like, I cannot feel that way because my mind is telling me. So then it was after that, I went back up to Glenfield in Leicester where I had the operation the first time. They admitted me in, and then I had the operation in July the 5th. No, July 2nd is when I had the operation. And July 2nd had the operation, and even the build up to that operation was like a complication in itself. So like 2 days before the operation, I was laying in like the waiting rooms, and I was in there for 5-6 weeks beforehand, waiting on a date. And like you say, you're inside wards, a non-COVID ward and a COVID ward and everything, and you don't know what way it's happening. So I remember I was sitting in the ward, and later on that night, I'm having to like press me buzzer next to the bed because I started to just break out into sweats, and my chest was thumping. So they all of a sudden straight away came running in. I'm getting sick over the side of the bed, and they were like, what's wrong? And I was like, I don't know. I said, I don't feel well. So then, obviously, with the way my valve was, they jump in, ECG machine straight away. And with that ECG, they were kind of thinking he might have COVID because heart rate, my temperature was sky high and everything. So I got pushed into another private room on my own. So then they were doing all tests for infections. They were doing tests for everything that was going on. I had another COVID test done. Found out that it wasn't COVID, but they had to do further investigations because the next day I was still having all that, and I'm getting injected with paracetamol through a drip, and I can feel it circulating me. Like I can literally feel it, and I'm sitting there in agony going, I can't take this.
No.
So then the next day, the doctor came in and said, Mark, look, we are checking for an infection. And he said, if you do have an infection, we can't operate tomorrow.
I'm going to say they can't operate.
So with them not being able to operate, I remember I got wheeled onto the main ward where everybody's recovering. I got wheeled onto the main ward right in front of the desk. And while I got wheeled in front of the desk, all the big monitors behind me and everything like that, I remember the doctor closed the curtains and he just sat and spoke to me and he said, Mark, the way your valve is now, he said, it's hanging on literally by a thread. And he said, and if this breaks off through the night, he said, you're dead. Because he said, it will circulate your body. He said, it get lodged in your brain. He said, you're dead. He said, so the reason you're in on this main ward, he said, we need to keep a close eye on you. So that to me, straight away, was kind of like, as much as I was afraid of open heart surgery, I was thinking, I need to have this.
Yeah.
And then on the second hand of it was kind of thinking, I'm not waking up tomorrow. Now he's telling me that news, saying it's very, very close. He then, well, the nurses phoned me parents, and my mum was staying in an accommodation just across from the hospital. You need to get over to the hospital. It's not looking great for your son. So then I have my mum on the phone to me, because during COVID, nobody's allowed in the hospital. Yeah. So my mum is on the phone to me. I'm on the phone. And it's that kind of unspoken conversation of everything's going to be okay. Like, she knows what she's just been told. I know what I've just been told. But we are not speaking about it. We're just kind of saying everything's going to be... And I'm like, look, everything will be all right. I'll have the operation tomorrow. Everything will be fine. I think I must have slept for 20 minutes that night. And, like, I still have the texts on my phone and everything of, Night, love you. Like, honestly, love you all around the world and back again. Like, just little things like that. That is kind of like, this could be my last ever text.
Yeah.
But being 27, I'm understanding and, like, really knowing everything that's going on right now. And then the next day, the doctor came in and said, we can have the operation. So all of a sudden, I get prepped for the operation. And the one thing my mom made a promise to me was that she'll be in that hospital. She said, one way or another, she said, I'll be in that hospital. When you're going in for that operation, you'll know I'm there. And I'm getting wheeled down, like, the corridor. And just like anything, my mum's there in loads of scrubs with a mask on, like the Mr. Bean gift. When he takes his mask down. Like, my mum, I'm getting wheeled down and, like, I'm drugged up, like, morphine and everything. She just pulls it down. So, like, I always remember seeing her. And then I get wheeled in. The operation was 7 hours long.
Oh, wow.
And then I got wheeled back out, and the doctor said it was a success and spoke to myself afterwards and said, like, the state my heart was in, he said I should have been dead.
Wow.
He said everything he said, like, that we had to do, he said, has been a success. The aortic root that they put in, he had to shrink it down and all of these different things. But now, all of a sudden, obviously, I've got the metallic valve, which is something why I can't play anymore. Otherwise, as I said, I would have given it another go to try and keep going. But I think this time around kind of led me down the horrible path of, like, letting your thoughts win every time. Like, I was scared of going to sleep at night. I was scared I was never going to wake up. I was having panic attacks. I was having really horrible thoughts of, this is me for the rest of my life, and I'm crying every second day, and, like, everything was just in such a horrible place because I didn't have football as that distraction to come back to. I didn't have fitness to come back for. Like, there was no reason for me to do anything with my life anymore. Like, my life is finished because football is finished. And that broke me, because as much as I understood all the steps after the operation, which is the tubes out of the stomach, the catheter out, and the ones out of your neck, and I knew all the procedures, go out and walk to that door, go out and walk further than the door. But the whole mental side of it broke me, because after the operation, you normally spend a week to 10 days in the hospital. But I ended up being in there for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, because the aortic route that they did fit in, the space that it left, because how enlarged it was, filled with inflammation, but they thought it was an infection. So I'm having young doctors come in to me and saying, like, they never dealt with it before. Mark, you might have to be opened back up again. And I'm having meltdowns in the hospital going, I can't go through this again, or else that's me done. I said, I'm too weak already. I went in weighing at like 84 kilos. I came out weighing at 69. Like, I completely, like, just was a shell of myself in every aspect you can look at it. And that in itself was something that I got told by the club doctor in football afterwards, once I come out, that like I was kind of over hospitalised. Like, I was too dependent on having a click of a button and doctors running in, and I felt as though I was safe. So once I come back from being in the hospital, like, that's where everything got even worse, because you think, come home to your own home comforts, everything will be fine.
But instead you didn't have that safety, because it's almost like a health anxiety then, if something's bound to happen.
100%.
And I'm not going to be able to, they aren't going to get to me in time, and obviously you got COVID and everything else going on.
1,000,000%.
I'm not going to get help in time. I'm going to be on my own. It's insane.
The health anxiety is something that I never knew of. I never knew what it meant. I never knew anything. I never knew what depression was. You think depression is just do something that makes you happy. Come on, Mark, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
like
it's
all
same
of
as panic
these
attacks. It seems right, and the amount of people who suffer panic attacks and who legitimately think I'm having a heart, because the symptoms will mimic that of a heart. know, and I've had bouts of like severe anxiety, but I've only once I can ever say I've ever had a full blown panic attack. It was around 2018, 2019, and I had to get off a train, and I was on the train home from work, and it just came, as you said, it came from absolutely nowhere. And I, even now when I look back, I think, oh, well, was I worried about this? I can't tell anyone what started it, but it started just before Pontypridd train station, and by the time I got to Abercynon, I had to get off the train. I didn't live in Abercynon. I had to get off the train to get air, because it felt like I couldn't get enough air in my body. And I rang my mother, and was just like, I think I'm having a heart attack. And she said, you are? I said, my heart feels like it's going to come out my chest. Again, I'm sweating, and I can't catch my breath.
Yeah.
And she said, I think you're in a panic attack. I said, no, and again, because you convince yourself, no, it can't be.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that panic is going to make me physically feel like this. So, this, and health anxiety is something I don't think that gets talked about enough in terms of how crippling it is. And I think people think, you need to just get on with it, or, they're all right now, you've had the op. I don't know what more you want.
Yeah.
And it's more than, I've just had the op.
Yeah.
It
goes down the route of like cancer now, and cancer's so rife in everybody these days. You have a bad throat, you have this, and you've got to ask the doctor the question, is it cancer?
Yeah.
And they're like, and that's an anxiety.
Well, yeah, and I think we live in a digital age where, let's be honest, everyone's a GP when they jump onto Google.
No, 1,000,000%.
And we've all done it, where we diagnose. And I remember in COVID, I remember being sat in the house one day, and Wales Online had one of their, where they do the random number, like the top 13 places to drink in Newport, the top 38 forests to walk through, and they did the 96 symptoms of COVID.
Oh,
and I remember the sheer number of them, and I thought, but you can have a headache from stress. You can have a headache because you haven't had enough water in your body.
Yeah, exactly.
But the way it was being presented was, if you've got any of these, you've got COVID.
Yeah.
100%. And the amount of panic that it generated, because there were, and I, not to be crude or crass as I so often am, but I remember like scanning this, and one of them was anal bleeding, and I thought to myself, but it doesn't automatically mean I've got COVID.
Yeah.
I've obviously got something wrong, but this kind of this culture, I think, of self-diagnosis the fact that we are in AI, the amount of people, that rely on like an AI diagnosis. I've got this. What do you think it is? Well, it could be you've got, a bad head. Or, worst case, you could have a brain tumor.
Yeah.
And you don't look at the first one. You think, oh my God, I got a brain tumor.
Yeah.
And it is.
And we were talking about this off camera, of how much COVID has amplified the amount of self-diagnosing, not mental health then, but being able to self-diagnose yourself, because you can't go to the doctors, so you're going to go and ask people or go on there. And you can't go out, you can't talk to people.
Everyone used to do it to my mother, right? My mother nursed for the better part of 50 years. Everyone would just go to, and she's very, very accomplished and very knowledgeable in her field. And I know I'm biased because she's my mum, but she's a fantastic nurse. But people would go to her for like a diagnosis of things that she had no real working knowledge. She isn't a GP or a consultant or, and they'd be like, oh, well, what do you think it is? I was like, I don't know. You've just picked up a virus. So you just picked, oh, God, But it would be that reliance on, it can't just be this. It has to be something worse. And when you've got health anxiety, you go to the worst possible scenario. And I think being in your position, because you'd gone through a highly traumatic series of events, which at the time, like you said, you kind of brushed off. When you first done it, the first time you had the issues, you were so focused on football. You had everyone around you supporting you and raising you up. You could have turned back up at Derby on the shoulders of everyone and be like, oh, I've got through. You don't ever think about, well, what if I hadn't got through it? Because you're too busy. When all that starts to fall away, and you've had those situations, where you're kind of being wheeled into open heart surgery, where you've got a consultant saying, listen, we'd like to do it tomorrow, but there's a chance that you may not wake up for us to do it tomorrow. That'll do things to you.
Massively.
That'll do things to you.
I think that is something that I'll never forget. Like those little conversations, like from when I was 16, 27 and different things, I don't forget them. Now, that doesn't mean that like I'll sit and worry about them all the time, but it's almost like I've learned how to turn the positive spins on them. I've learned how to kind of look at them and just go, right, but if that was then and someone's telling you should be dead and someone says to you that you shouldn't be waking up, well, then now I look at it and go, well, now that I do wake up, I'm happy.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask you, is kind of how you've combated that health anxiety. Because obviously for some people, it'll be so crippling and it'll define them to where they'll find it really difficult to move past it. Yeah. Whereas I'm not saying now that if you had a pang now, you're going to think, I don't know about that. But you seem, on the surface anyway, to be much more kind of in control of those intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, I'd say that I have a lot more of a control over my life. And it's going to sound silly, but like it makes sense to me. It's like I've lost the control of trying to control it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, like, I don't...
You can only control the controllables.
I don't worry about what if it's this and what if it's that until it is that. I don't worry about it anymore. Like, whereas before, it's like I used to feel as though, because I can hear my valve and I can, like, safely feel it beating every single day. Like, I don't know what it's like not to feel my valve beat anymore.
Yeah.
I used to think I was in control of it. So, like, if I'd sit down for too long, I'd go, oh, now it's relaxed, it's beating slower, it's nice. If I stood up, it would start beating faster, just like anyone's heart when you stand up. But because I can feel it, all of a sudden it's like, and I'll start getting fidgety, and I'm like, I can't stand for too long. Like, it took me, it's gonna sound mad, but it took me nearly a year to 2 years to have a shower and not a bath, because I couldn't stand in a shower for too long, because when the water's splashing off me back, I couldn't feel me chest beating. And it would make me panic thinking it stopped. Now I'm alive thinking it stopped, but my head is telling me it's not working. And then I'd have to, like, I'd get all fidgety and panic again, and then I'd have to sit down, because it used to just always grate me. And those things that now it's almost like I'll stand in the shower and just go, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And that's the one thing, like, my dad, like, kind of told me that as time was going on, Mark, whether you're laying down, standing up, sitting down,
when your time is your time.
If something's going to happen, it will happen regardless of where you are. Now, at the time when he says it to me, now he tries to say that as it's supportive. Like, at the time, I'm like, no, but I don't want it to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, I think I'm trying to be control of it. But it makes so much sense to me now to kind of go, well, if it is going to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can do is literally control what I can, which is, look, it took me, I'd say 2-3 years to try and get back into a gym and just try and keep fitness up again, because I let all that slip. I then went back into football like months after the operation, because I thought I need to get some sort of routine. And I was trying to force myself through a lot, because I was trying to go back to when I was 16 to go, what got me okay was fitness, was this. And it wasn't the same again, because I wasn't doing it for any reason. And during all of that, I just then had to kind of step into the world of like counselling. I had to sit down with a counsellor, and I got advised to sit down with a counsellor, because panic attacks were happening in a training ground. But then when they start happening in front of people, it got me more comfortable around those people that are not hiding anything. And then with the counselling, it got me an understanding of everything. But was it enough? No, because they were still happening. So I was still kind of go, well, it can't just be my mind. And then all of a sudden you'd reach out to people who have been in similar situations of retiring. Then they start trying to say to you, well, just accept it. It's almost kind of like the one thing that I took from a lot of stuff was that it wasn't me. It wasn't the job that made me successful. It was me that made my job successful or my life successful. So with all of that, it's kind of like those little things stick with me now. Seeing all those different sides of stuff stick with me now. And the fact that I'm able to like switch it all around, and instead of saying I retired at 27, I look at it and say, well, I got 11 years longer than any hospital ever gave me. Now it's the same situation, just seen differently. And
reframing
things,
it's an amazing tool in kind of coping as a coping mechanism, as you said, and being able to twist things and think, do you know what? Because it doesn't mean that you're not acknowledging it. It still is true. But it's being done in a positive way, because otherwise, as you said, it's very easy to get into that really negative headspace of, I've had that taken away from me, I've had that. Whereas, like you said, all right, yes, it was taken away from me, but I had this much longer than I was ever told I'd be able to kick football. You know, and I've always had it's. I'm interested with sports people anyway, especially ones that are career sports people, because I always find that that notion of, for whatever reason, find their playing days are over, and the impact on not finishing your story how you want to, and when it gets taken from you and you can't write your own ending, and how that works. Because, you know, like I said, I've never played a sport, but I know of people who it can be really damaging for some people, because you, for example, you haven't chose to finish when you finished. It was kind of forced upon you, and that kind of that you know, is there bitterness? Is there resentment? Is there, because of your circumstances? Well, I've just got to be happy with what I've had.
Yeah, I think that's. The last one is exactly how I see it. It's like I have to just be happy with what I had, because I got told, it might never happen. And then I got told it'd be a year to a maximum of 5. So I already in my head was going, I'm going to get a good 5 years out of this, and then wherever will be, will be. Yeah. So to get 11, and I think for the stuff that I got to achieve in my career has made it like, so I got to make some massive memories in FA Cup runs, playing at Wembley, playing at Celtic Park, like getting to play against all these Premier League teams. Like those types of things are stuff that for me, I kind of go, do you know what? Well, I got to make some like unbelievable memories that some people will never get a chance to do, even with a full lot of careers. I got a chance to do it a good few times for my time at Newport. And it's something where I just have a massive appreciation of the simple things now, because I doing counselling, I started to understand that I used to always look at like the big scenario. So like on my day, you'd wake up, get out of bed, have showers, do all those things, and then go into the training ground. And on that day, I used to always say, look, I'll do a bit of training. I'm going to go jogging with the physio. But when I get in there, I just think, I'm exhausted. Now, I'm talking, this is 3 months after my operation. But in my head, like, it's what I should be doing. Because it's what I done at 16, so I should be doing that now. So then I go on a bit of a jog, and I don't really do it. And I had a bit of a panic attack as I done it. So then I stopped doing it. So then I beat myself up when I get in. And the more that I explained this to the counsellor and different things, I started to realise when she broke me day down, she was like, right, but you did wake up, you did have a shower, you did get dressed, you did have your breakfast, you did walk out, and you did make it to the training ground, and you met all these people. So there's like 8-9 things that you've done before you even had to exercise. So why only focused on that? And I used to always get told the phrase, "You're too hard on yourself, Mark. You're too hard on yourself." And I used to sit there and go, "I'm not cursing myself to sleep here. Like I'm not trying to be hard. Like this is just all I've known." Because in football,
exactly. But it's difficult because when you get to a pro level, and even you haven't got to be at a pro level, to be honest. You could be playing park foot, but if that's what you do, if you mark the footballer, you mark the footballer, and whether it's a title that you kind of taken yourself or that's been bestowed upon you by someone else, when your identity is so intrinsically linked to something like a sport like football, it is difficult then, because the pressure is being put on you from all angles, because you have to, well, if I can't play, then what can I do?
Yeah.
If I can't perform, then what, then what's the point in any of it?
But that was the same, and like when you say the whole identity thing, that was something that, speaking to an ex-footballer, made me realise, so it's not just me, because he had a conversation with me. I'd done a podcast with him and his friend, and they reached out to me afterwards and seen that I was struggling. And it was only after I would speak to them, he would tell me, like, when he would go out for dinners or someone would come up and ask him for a picture, and they'd go, "Oh, you're so-and-so." And he'd go, "No, that used to be me," because he retired now.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, he almost, like, lost the identity of going, "No, like, that is still me." So, like, when they broke it down with me, and you're almost having an understanding conversation of my situation, because not everyone will understand the situation, that when he was breaking it down and he said, "How did you feel like when you played football?" And I was like, "Well, I felt like a leader. I got to be captain. Like, I felt strong. I felt fit. I felt like I was untouchable. Like, I felt in that type of way." And they were like, "Right. So how do you feel now?" "Well, that's not me. Like, I want, like," and they told me to almost like accept the fact of, "Well, you won't go back to being football, Mark." But that's where the phrase came from of going, "But you made your job successful."
Yeah.
So when you made your job successful, you are these things. You are a leader. You are strong. You are fit. You are physical. You are this like outgoing type person. Football didn't give you that. You put that into football to make it what it was. And that little flip of a switch in my own head made me go, I never thought of it like that. Like, and that's why I said, like, I love conversation. Like, to be able to sit and, like, you might hear something that you just go, I never thought of it like that. And someone in a similar situation to you, you almost then go, I'll listen to you saying it, because if a counsellor said it to me, the amount of times the counsellor spoke to me and said, I could only imagine what it's like. And I said, well, if you can only imagine it, well, then you only imagining it isn't what I'm feeling. I'm feeling 100 times that. So then with that, my mum used to always say, I'd come out from meetings with those two lads, and she used to go, there's a bit of life in your eyes here. Like, she said, I can see the spark back. Yeah. Because I feel as though someone's helping me and they understand me. Yeah. But then it was only, like, as I say, later down the line that I started to realise a lot of everything away from football and just life itself is that it's never the situation that everybody focuses on. Like, everybody focuses on the situation of mine being open heart surgery, or somebody else falling down the stairs, or somebody breaking a leg. But they judge it and go, well, I can't really say it to him. Like, I'm not going to tell him my problems because I broke his leg. And he's not going to tell me his problems. And I used to look at it then and go, that's how I was. I used to judge it, and people go, you'll never understand open heart surgery, so you can't speak to me about saying what depression is, because I'm depressed because of this. And it's only when you take it all away to kind of go, well, nobody's depression is bigger than the next person. Nobody's 100%. Health anxiety is bigger than the next, and nobody's stress is bigger than the next. You take it for what it is, and you remove the situation and sit and talk as people and say, this is what I feel.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is like, sorry, Matt.
No, I was going to say, it's, we've experienced that in men's.
Well, yeah,
like mental health groups where you've got someone who's going through. Maybe they've lost a loved one to suicide, or they're going through something really, really difficult at home, and they share, and the person next to them, you can see them in their head thinking, oh well, the biggest thing to happen to me is I got a speeding ticket. But I mean, but if that has affected you, it does. I know it. Then there isn't a scale.
No.
When you need to get shit off your chest, it isn't a scale of, well, my I really appreciate that you've had open heart surgery and you nearly died. But, you haven't had what I've had. Because as soon as it starts becoming a competition, you start losing sight of
100%.
of what's important.
Yeah. Would you say that your advocacy then towards mental health and stuff like that is from just a simple conversation? Because listening to you talk about that then is like you having your counselling sessions with someone, so you're talking to someone, you're on a podcast talking to someone about something, and all of a sudden a click of the finger or a light switch has gone in your head, and you're going, hang on, I've learned a lot about myself by just talking.
1,000,000%. Like, the reason why I say that I am so comfortable speaking about myself or about everything that I've gone through is the fact of I understand the power of what talking is. When you can sit and have a conversation with somebody and it can be about literally anything, from the smallest to the biggest thing, the one thing you can always take from it is everyone's situation will always be different.
Yeah.
Like, my life will be different to yours and your perspective will be different to mine. But the difference of the feeling is we'll all felt the same.
Yeah.
And that is something where the more I've learned that, the more, like I say, I love speaking to people. I love having a conversation with someone. And to the people who are open to it, great. Like, I'll sit and talk to anybody about the day that you've had, to what's happened in your past, to what has happened in your day, to something as trivial as did you watch that game last night?
Yeah.
And talking about football and just taking interest, because, like you say, I think everybody nowadays are starting to get a lot better. Like, there's a lot more groups out there. There's a lot more people who are opening up and talking, and I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
And that in itself will then almost take the shell off when everybody was cooped up during COVID. And it's almost getting back to the roots of something as simple as just a conversation to ask someone how they are, or just a simple conversation of, like, technology was great for what it was.
Yeah.
But it's not the same as sitting in a room, or, like you say, sitting down a pub with a friend, or walking down the park, or anything just as simple. Like, I know Irish people are friendly, but just as much as Welsh people or whatever, and many times do you walk down the street and you go to other different cities and people don't even say hello.
No.
Yeah.
Whereas you could be in Wales or you could be anywhere. And this is why I say that, like, I've probably stayed in Wales a lot longer, is because they're so similar to Irish, where it's like, I could literally talk to somebody and not know them, and whether it's in a sauna or whether it's in a gym or whether it's literally standing in a queue, if you're in Sainsbury's or Tesco's, all of a sudden you could have a full-blown conversation and go, I remember so-and-so, or did you see that yesterday? And all of a sudden,
100%.
you don't know what could be the reason why they're having that conversation with you.
Exactly.
But I always am a massive, massive believer of the least any person can do in their life is just be a good person. And that is by just giving someone a time of day, whether it's 5 minutes, because you can always get that 5 minutes back, or you can always, like, shift it to something else. But so many people get caught up with the whole I'm busy, and it's kind of like, right, take a moment. Like, when have you ever sat and took a moment for yourself to kind of go, actually, do you know what, I haven't really sat down and spoke to anyone today, or I haven't taken that time to myself to have a bit of a breather, because everything is just, and when you get into that routine and habit of everything always on the go, it becomes part of your life that you forget what it's like to not be that.
Yeah, to chill.
Until you then, it seems alien to kind of go, I can't sit easy in a house on my own. I can't sit in my own company. Yeah. And the amount of people that are like that nowadays, to kind of say, I can't be content in my own. Now, I am happy, but I have to be doing something.
Yeah, I say, well, why? I know people like that.
And that in itself is kind of like, because you build it so long and so much in your life, it becomes that whole routine of it.
Yeah, and I think there's fear sometimes. I think that, there's ingrained fear. If I stop, I'm gonna have time on my own.
Yeah,
and I know, certainly, because I'm self-professed. I'm a busy fucker, and I'm here, there, and everywhere. And COVID was really difficult for me for a number of reasons, but one of them was pre-March 2020. Like you said, I didn't have time to worry, to think.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd been diagnosed with a mental health condition of severe depression and anxiety back in 2014. I dealt with different things over the years, but I'd always kept going. And all of a sudden, COVID, someone just hit this giant pause button on the world, and you didn't have the distractions, and life stopped. But what it also did was it gave you a lot of time in your own head and with your own thoughts. And all of a sudden it was, all right, okay. I don't know if I like this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like being...
Doing nothing.
Yeah. Doing nothing. Whereas like now, the irony now is if someone says, do you know what? You can go and lay on the settee and just chill out watching the TV and not have to think about anything. I'll take you up in it all day long. Just to have the break.
Yeah.
You know, and it's I get that. I understand that feeling about, you know, taking time just to breathe and just to be present and just to be aware of what's going on around you. And, you know, in terms of, you know, the similarities between different parts of the UK. I've always, and I'm really not just saying it because you sat here. I've always said I've always had an affinity with the Irish, and I've always had an affinity with people from the north of England, because I find them and especially Valley's people very similar in that they're kind of hardworking, they're grounded. Because I can't stick, you know, like you said, you'll be in a queue and you may catch someone's eye and you say, all right? And they look at you as if you're going to pull a knife. Yeah. And you're thinking, I'm just asking if you're all right. Yeah. Because I know from my own personal experience where people who I've never met before that day and I'll never see again in my life. Maybe I've been waiting for a train and they'll have a 2-3 minute conversation, but it gives you something.
Yeah.
And you don't realize sometimes if you do that to sound like that may be a different, you know, like you may be the only person it's
that buzz that it gives you by doing that, knowing full well that could mean it made somebody's week that you spoke to them for 3 minutes waiting for a bus or somewhere in Wingstop the other day when you said you had, you know, this person was from Blaenavon because you started talking to them.
I was queuing in Wingstop in Merthyr because it just opens. It's like 40 odd minute queues. And I'm in there and there was a young couple in there who had also been waiting for a while. And I was like, well, I can either stand here and wait for God knows how long, but I could see they were
sharing the same. Yeah,
they were sharing the same. So I said, he said, it's beyond, isn't it? And then the next thing, we're chatting about different food places. We're chatting about this. We're chatting about, they were saying, is it like, what have you ordered or whatever? He said, my son's in the car. All right, we are trying for a baby. And, and like the next thing, it's just like, oh my God, we just become best friends. Yeah. But it's connection, isn't it? And it's human connection.
Like and it's so simple.
Yeah, and COVID, I'm like my auntie always used to say to me, because my auntie will hold her hands up and she'll say she is not, or she can be, not a people person. Mm-hmm. But she said the biggest issue with COVID for her is that it took the choice away. She said, if I don't want to talk to people or see people, I like it to be my choice. When you're told you can't,
I want to talk to everybody.
She said, I don't like that. But it was such a fucking weird time.
It was.
Like I remember being on the Taft Trail once and there was more than enough room for everybody, and there was a couple coming toward me and they said, oh yeah, morning. And I thought they were going to end up in the canal because they couldn't get up. And I was like, oh, if you're that frightened, you probably shouldn't be out.
Yeah.
But it's, and I think the advocacy that you take part in now is incredible. You've kind of become this voice and this relatable voice and this relatable figure where on the surface, if you'd gone back in time, who could ever relate to you? Because they haven't had the open heart surgery. They've never played for a pro club. So how can anyone relate to me? Only I know what I feel. Whereas all of a sudden you've kind of gone through this journey and you're probably one of the most relatable people in the room, even though our experiences are wildly different.
And that's the one thing that I always stand by is the fact of saying I enjoy living my life as the example that it is, because a lot of people will probably see it as he's played professional football and he's done this and done that.
Yeah.
Like, how can he be struggling? He got to live a boyhood dream. Like, what does he have to struggle about? He's probably just saying it because it's the gimmick, it's the online brand stuff and all of this stuff. And I've had people question me on that, and I used to always say, like, look, I have lived through it. So the reason why I would speak so openly about it, and the reason why I'm so kind of enthusiastic about it, is the fact of I've seen the horrible side of what your mind can do. I've seen the physical effects it can give you. I can see where I'm crying every second day. I can see where I'm calling ambulances on myself. I can see where there's days I haven't spoke to someone. I'll text someone on a Monday and I'll reply 2 Mondays later because all of a sudden, and then they go, where have you been? And I just carry on the conversation like I didn't just ignore what they've said. Yeah. And I've been in all of those situations, and to see life or to feel the way that I feel now, the reason why I say that I do be so positive about it is because I know I've turned it around for it to be all back to being my choice again. Yeah. And that's not saying that I only thought this yesterday and today I'm brilliant. It's 6 years of having to go through the shit that I went through, having to go through all the stuff that has happened to kind of go, well, now it's become, like you say, that busy routine of constantly being busy. Now this become the routine of going, well, do you know what? If you throw a problem at me, at somewhere along it, I'll find a silver lining in it to put it back at you. And you might find it a little bit uncomfortable. Go, it's not that easy. Because I've been in that situation to go, things aren't that easy. My dad's saying the simple things to me. Well, it's not that easy to see it like that. And I go, yeah, it is. So like, now when I can see the two different sides of stuff, my life has become so less stressed because I know that anything in it is what I want it to be in it. Because you can say something horrific to me, the next person can, and I've been in an industry where they throw and hurl abuse at you. Yeah. Now, when you're in that industry, it feels as though you're in this bubble, and now that I've stepped out of it, it's like, why did I let that affect me? Yeah. Why did I care what he thought? Or why did I care about what people thought of me when I played? Yeah. It's almost kind of like, you go out and play for yourself. And the one thing I've always said is, I wish I thought how I think now when I played football, because I think my career would have been so much more relaxed than the pressure that I put on myself. But then I counteracted with going, but maybe the pressure I put on myself is what got the best out of me. And you can always do the if, buts and maybes, but where I'm at in my life now is the fact of going, I understand the appreciation of just being happy to wake up. Yeah. And someone might sit next to me might say, it's not that easy because I struggle with this, and it's not that easy just to say you're happy waking up. I said, but it's never a guarantee in nobody's life. All of us sitting here, and it might sound drastic, but it's not drastic. It's kind of like, we don't know if tomorrow is going to happen. Yeah. You live and believe and you hope. Yeah. But when you do get to wake up and you do see that next person, well, then why not make it the best day that you possibly can? And that is literally the way that I enjoy living my life. Like, whatever has happened today or whatever happened yesterday, well, I can't go back and change it. No. And what happened this morning, I can't go back and change it. So the difference is, it's kind of like, and people think that when I've mentioned this so many times, that I see sunshine and rainbows every day. Like, I don't. Oh, there's days where I don't want to get out of bed. There's days where I think, oh, not today. I look out and me curtains and it's raining and it's blustering with wind and and I'm thinking, I have to be out in that. Oh. But then, you know what, you just go, do you know what, I'll make the most of it because I'm alive to do it. And
you're alive and able to do it.
And that is the simple side of my life. Now, again, situations will still come at me. People will still say things to me. People will still come with problems and whatever. But you know what, like, when I have it, and it came from another bloke that I spoke to on Saturday, he literally said the same thing about going able to relate to me about being happy. And he literally said, Mark, you know what? He said, whether a good situation happens to me or a bad situation happens to me, the one thing I look at all the time is go, at least I'm alive to deal with it. Yeah. And the minute he said that to me, I was like, he gets it. He gets exactly what I'm feeling. Because people think that I might just put it on. But I just go, no, I enjoy being positive. And I know it's a choice to be positive. Yeah, well, it's not that you wait on the positivity. It's not like you wait on motivation. It's like, I want to choose it. So even if you come at me with all the most horrific of things, I'll still want to try and turn it into the positive because I know that helped my life. It mightn't help everybody. But if one thing that I see, just like when I spoke to people along my way, and one thing that they've said I've taken from it to go, that might help me. Yeah. That might be that little bit of something that gives me to the next day. So when I live my life like that now, to try and be something for somebody to say, look, it's not going to be it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be anything other than you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and just keep talking to people bit by bit, because you'll end up just taking little small bits along the way, and with those small bits you'll form it all together to go, oh, do you know what, today is actually going to be a good day. And it's those little things that just steadily build people. And I think it's everybody, when you struggle, only think about, I'm surviving. Like every day for me was surviving. Like I used to be exhausted by the end of the night, be too terrified to sleep, pass out of sleep to wake up and go, now I'm even more tired, and now I don't want, and now I have a whole day of being tired again. And now it's almost kind of like you look back at that and go, well, I don't take it for granted anymore. So even if I wake up tired, I'm going to go, but I'm awake. And at least now my day can be whatever I want it to be, and that's the opportunity. Like I said, you can see your day as an opportunity, or you see it as a dreaded thing of going, oh, not again. Let's wait till tomorrow. It's like, well,
I can't wait to go to bed.
Exactly. And they're the things that, like I said, when I simplified it for myself, and the more that I just started to believe in it for me, it's like, life becomes an opportunity for everything. Like people asking you to come on a podcast, or someone speaking to you in the shops, or somebody walking down the street and you hold the door open. Like those little things are little opportunities that you don't know what that next person might be feeling, saying, or what they could speak to you about. But you know what? Putting yourself in that position rather than lock yourself away from the world is kind of like, do you know what? The world is a great place if you want it to be. And some people who might be struggling now mightn't see that, but taking those little small steps towards those better days is better than just thinking, oh, do you know what? I'll give up now. Because life has that opportunity of I can always turn, because that is why, as I say, I live my life as I do for that example, to say it can turn, and it will turn. And if you are willing to never stop exhausting every avenue, and it might be the most far-fetched avenues, like I went to a healer back in Dublin that I never ever thought in the life of me would ever work. Now my ma said to me, do you know what, Mark, go to it. And I'd be arguing with me dad on the phone, going, I'm not going to some healer. He's not going to do something. And like, nothing's going to happen. And my dad goes, well, try it. And I said, but I've done everything. I've done the counselling. I've done this. And it's still all happening. Try it. Because you've obviously not done everything. You've not done this. And that then all of a sudden opened my eyes to just say yes to things. And then once I went to it, believe it or not, that was another turning point for me. And that's what gave me the kind of pressure off my shoulders to certain things that I overturned. He gave me like angel tarot cards and told me to shuffle the deck and take out whichever ones you want. And I thought, I'm going to try and almost like be a poker dealer here. And I was shuffling everything, and I thought, you're not going to catch me out. You probably have them already set up. And I'm picking in top, middle, bottom and everything. But one of the cards that turned over, and I have a screenshot of it on my phone and I took a picture of it, was the worst is past you. Everything's going to be okay. And the only thing I ever said to anybody when I was in hospital was, I wanted someone to tell me I'm going to be okay. And now that came from this card that apparently you've been guided towards to see, it made me almost go, oh, someone is overlooking me. I can actually relax now. And that was just a little something. Now that, like I say, that's another little puzzle piece that probably was missing. And that just gave me a little bit of a belief to go, everything's going to be all right. Even if I'm struggling now, it will get better. And that to me was just, like I say, it seems mad when you go through all the other avenues, or the typical avenues. It might be in something that you've never tried before in your life, but give it all a go. Because what's the worst that can happen? You just don't like it.
No, exactly.
Well, I think I may speak for you, but I'm wondering if you do home visits, because no, honest, it's and I'm not blowing smoke. It's inspiring. It's inspiring. So I suppose to kind of come full circle and a little and wrap things up in a nice bow. I suppose what's next? What's next for Mark O'Brien?
Funny thing about that question is I don't even know. Like, genuinely, I don't know. Because if you had told me 5-6 years ago when I had the operation that I'd be in the position I am now, I would have said no chance. So taking it as I do,
be you excited?
As simple as I do, like, I'm excited for anything that comes my way. And that for me is more of an opportunity to kind of go, tomorrow somebody could offer me something that I'd never known before. I could leave here, then something could happen, and I could be offered something even bigger.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And for when people have their lives mapped out, and if that helps them, brilliant. But you never know. You're putting yourself under a pressure today for something that mightn't happen in 5 years' time. And if I plan 5 years' time, I'm only focused on that one thing 5 years down the line. But then there's 5 years wasted of something that could have altered it in between. But you're so focused on it. So to me, to be in the position that I'm in, to say that I've been at Newport for this amount of time, didn't think I would. Do the book that I've got, didn't think that I'd have a book. To do all these other things and be on podcasts and guests and just to live the life that I'm living, never would have experienced it. But I never had a plan. I never had any of this planned.
No.
But I've enjoyed it. And I've loved everything to go along with it. And then to be part of County in the Community, the charity alongside the football club, to be part of that is something where I go, I never thought I'd be doing that. But now I get to meet people like at Walking Football, a 90-year-old man I'm playing Walking Football with. And I sit and talk to him about his early days in football, and he's telling me about...
And his heart rate is lower than you was when you were,
exactly.
when you were there.
And he's telling me about warplanes that are flying overhead when he's down the park, and he's talking about World War II. Now I'm sitting there going, I don't meet these people and enjoy the conversation and sit and hear these stories if I had everything planned out. Like, I just take it as it comes, and it might seem far-fetched to people, and it might seem as though it's like you need structure. Like, I've got a structure to where I know I'm happy in what I'm doing. And once I'm happy in what I'm doing, I know it's going to put me in the right frame of mind. It's going to put me in the right space. It's going to connect me with the right people. But I'm happy with what I do. And I'm happy in my life. And that is to be where I was 5 years ago, to sit here and say that I'm comfortable enough to sit in a studio away from my own apartment, out of my own comfort zone. Like, that to me is beyond me. And to be doing that now and taking it as it comes, that's where I see everything going, is just be happy.
Go on, sorry.
No, go on.
No, go on.
Because I was gonna throw the cat amongst the pigeons.
As you do.
As I do. So knowing how much football means to you, because it's still an integral, with everything that's gone on, in a hypothetical situation, where you're still in the situation you are, an Ireland get into a World Cup final and they ring and they say, Mark, is there any chance you could play for us?
Do you know what? You were pulling on heartstrings here. You were pulling on real heartstrings here. I always said, and I don't know whether you've heard this or not.
I honestly haven't.
My own ever regret of anything that I said, I love my career and I never regretted anything. I said the only regret that I've ever had is never playing senior international football. That is the only regret. So for you to ask that question, I'm sitting here going, yeah, do you know what? I put my health at risk for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I got mates who've played at all different levels, and they've always said, if you don't want to play in a World Cup final for your home country, I don't know what's wrong, because like, you should want to play. Obviously, you want to play the highest club standard you can play. You want to play the highest competitions, but the dream is you score a goal in that World Cup final, you are remembered forever.
Yeah. Like that's the whole childhood dream. But to represent me country in a international, like at senior level, like I've done it in the 16s, 17s, 19s, but to do it at a senior level in a World Cup final, your whole country on your shoulders, like that is something that, like, even talking about it could bring goosebumps to me going, you know what, I'd absolutely love it. And there's no scenario in my life that I would ever turn that down. But as you say, I'm glad it was hypothetical and not real.
I was gonna say, but if in 2060 odd or whatever,
so if they're listening, my phone's on loud.
Yeah, I'm gonna say he's available. And if he starts training now, he should be ready for the bench at least. But no, Mark, honest, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for being so
open.
So open to and inspiring, to be honest, like you said. Because even though you may not measure yourself against people, I think to go through what you've gone through, to come out the other end how you have, and to have the outlook that you've got is incredible. And I'm sure you have, you were in that world far more than I was, but I know of people who've even played it at a semi-pro level or kind of just got into pro, and they don't how can I put it? They don't adjust to civilian life as well, and that well, I played here. I don't talk to fans. I don't talk to. So the fact that you're as open and honest and personable as someone who could be playing for like Rogerstone, for example, by comparison, is I think it's really endearing. And yeah, I wish you nothing but the best in everything you do going forward. And if Ireland do get into a World Cup final,
you'll see me there.
I will happily buy a ticket. I'll buy an overinflated World Cup final ticket, and I will happily fly the Irish flag for the day.
Perfect.
Unless you're against Wales, in which case I hope they kick the shit out of you because it's Wales. But no, honest, thank you so much for coming on.
It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah.
Real. Where can people find you on the old socials?
It's the same through Instagram, mainly. There's LinkedIn and stuff like that, but through Instagram is normally like the main one.
Yeah.
That like I use for anything and everything, to be honest.
Yeah.
And people can easily reach out and message if they would needed anything to talk about or whatever.
Yeah. I'll link your account on there.
I was going to say that I'm going to mess you on LinkedIn. I was like, why, you got some sort of random software development you want to offer you a free trial for? You're just like, we've just seen that you've had open heart surgery. Would you be interested in this? No. But yeah. So yeah, go and follow Mark online. Only online. Don't go follow him in the street because that is weird. That is very weird. No matter how friendly.
Come say hello.
Yeah, no matter how friendly he is. If you kind of you pull the bed sheets back, it's like, hey Mark, you did say you were available to have a chat. But yeah, go and follow Mark and some of the amazing work he's doing, as well as obviously getting behind that, and as you briefly said, the amazing work that Newport County are doing off the pitch as well, because they're doing so many great things as well. But yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back soon.
Different location, possibly.
Yeah, but no, probably.
Yes.
God knows. We don't know anymore.
No,
we don't know. We're like nomads.
Thank you so much for watching and listening again, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah. See you. I don't know what happened then. Maybe I might get around the turn. I don't know. Right. Anyway, see you soon.
Ta-da.
Bye.